Hey, welcome to PJ and the Beard. This is our 19 Conversations series, I think. An hour of distraction. I didn't want to make another thumbnail, so I just typed it in. So I see Brodie popped in. I'm going to pop him in, but we have a question about if there's going to be a feedback loop. So let's try it.
We're about to find out.
There he is.
Check one. Check two.
How about that?
Seems all right.
All right.
Although I heard a little bit of a feedback loop there.
You want to put my ears on?
Yeah, if you have earphones, you might want to.
I'm not sure if this is mildly better than the other one or just as bad. Although I'm hearing myself over in his. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man alive.
Yeah, the headphones will probably help.
Yeah, he's working on it.
We had Brian Landreth in the chat so far. Although I'm not sure he's still here. I don't know.
We're actually sort of quasi-unintentionally social distance. He's literally about 6 feet, well, that way, sort of, kind of. Actually, if we...
That was nice. That was...
Yeah, you like that?
That was good. Brian said
just proves you can do anything you want with the video. Yeah. I could bring up the chat if I was that smart. It's been a while.
I know. No. So how are things in Nashville?
Kind of quiet. Like we were going to try to do a little bit of the guitar circuit, but Carter is like appointment only. We didn't really check Gruen. I watched the thing about George Gruen today. But the Guitar Center in Brentwood was open. We briefly went there. There was nothing terribly exciting, but
I can't imagine putting your life at risk to go to the Guitar Center.
Everybody was all masked up. They had quite the flow. It looked like a grocery store in there with the arrows and the tape and the whole thing in Majiggy. No, other than that, I mean, there's restaurants that are open and stuff, but we were going to check out Revolta guitars, but their showroom is closed, and so right. You've seen those of you watching that have seen the videos, being stuck at this house is not the worst thing that could ever happen to you.
Yes,
it's better than Guitar Center. So,
right. I mean, I'm not sure I would need to go to Guitar Center if I was there. Maybe to get a pedal fix.
What's that?
I said maybe to get a pedal fix.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear him a little bit.
I can see him. I've got noise canceling. Wireless headphones on, so I can't hear him.
So yeah, Brodie, it might be that it might does his headphones have a mic on them?
You can hear me, but I can't see or I can't hear myself.
Oh, he's talking.
It's like a guitar player. I can't hear myself.
Can you hear him at all?
Yeah, I can hear him a little bit.
A little bit.
He's over there trying stuff.
Oh, this is crazy.
So tell him to try putting his headphones in, and then in the settings, telling the computer to use the mic on the computer and not the headphone mic. If it doesn't,
so you can put your headphones in and then set the computer mic to have the mic work.
Help Brodie with his pedophilia.
Pedophilia.
Yes, that word, Brian, out loud. Pedophobia. Pedophobia.
Now I'm gonna be registered on some website. Thanks, Uncle Brian.
Right. That's not good for my career.
You're right. Yeah, you've got the most to lose in that world.
You had mentioned about trying. Actually, this was all me. Pat said he was going to Nashville to spend the week with Brodie, and I was like, "Well, while you're there, you should try and swing by the Revolta Guitars showroom because we're kind of on the hunt." And you know, if anybody's watching, other than Uncle Bry, with his input would be valued. Kind of on the hunt for a guitar that we can do on the channel that maybe is something different than, you know what I mean? That maybe something different. But we've done some cheap guitars. The cheap guitars get tons and tons of views. Maybe something that's a little more high end than the cheap guitars, but is something a little different. And so here's Brodie back. Are you ready, Brodie, for me to
check one, check?
Yeah.
Check one, check two.
Except for the delay.
All right.
A delay?
A delay?
No.
Well, that's because he might say.
Well, that's because he might say something word like pedophile. You have to black it out.
You missed it.
You missed it.
I'm glad.
I think there might be a delay. We'll see what happens. So back to that. Pat so I suggested to Pat go over to Revolta Guitars showroom and check them out because it's actually what's the brand under? It's made
Novo.
by
It's Novo is the parent brand.
Right. And so these are kind of like a line of theirs that are a little bit cheaper and stuff. Greg Platzer jumping in from Facebook.
Splatzer.
You see
That's
some
Brodie's name.
I'd like to check them out. If you haven't seen them, it's revoltaguitars.com, I guess. Go check them out. They're pretty cool. They look nice.
I did watch because you talked about.
Maybe a baritone.
Watched that,
Which I watched that,
and it was really cool. Like we could do.
and it was really
things.
cool. Like we could do different things.
Play bass with
Straight
it or
up
whatever.
play bass with it or whatever.
Yeah, you guys got a pretty good, significant feedback loop going on over there.
Right.
Right.
We got
Got to divide and conquer.
Sure.
I'm kicking Brodie out of his own room. Just by the fireplace. Put the leather chair next to the fireplace.
We good.
You could be Chris Wirt. Brodie's going to give you the MTV Cribs tour.
Right. It's not all just amps and stuff.
You can go outside and sit on one of the Harleys.
Platz would probably like that.
He would. There's two of them out there.
So Brian Lander said they're $2,500. Not the Revoltas.
The Novos are that and more.
Right. The Revoltas are, well, let's look. So I kind of like this Mondado 2 humbucker one with the gold finish on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's $9.99 USD. That looks nice. But then I was watching a video today about this one and the switching system it has. And it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's like, I think if I remember correctly, the upper switch was like your neck both bridge. And then the other switch down here does something with bringing that humbucker or that mini bucker in the middle in. So then you can get any combination. You can get neck and bridge or just bridge. You can get the front two, the back two, the middle one, or all three.
Yeah, it's sort of like the idea when Josh Scott had built Make Him guitars with like every type of pickup configuration for testing stuff. So
right.
That'd be a really flexible guitar. But what I was saying about the baritone during the echoing part that we were having, it was really cool. Because a lot of times we jam out at the end or something, even if we weren't laying separate tracks, it was kind of cool that the low end on that baritone could get like a straight, almost bass sound to it.
And RJ Ronquillo is like demoing all of these on this page, but it looks, and you know what? I like the green. I like kind of the sunburst, but that black one does look sharp.
Mm-hmm.
What color are you leaning towards?
I'm a sucker for sunburst, but all of these are kind of quirky looking, right? Like cool, like Art Deco. So that opens up the door for me for a lot of different colors. And it was interesting. I was interested in like airline guitars at one point, and then there's Eastman, but I don't know if there's some relationship between all of these companies, but
there's something going on with Eastman and Revolta, but I'm not sure what it is.
Right. I think these are made in Korea. Yeah, I mean, it sounded great on the demos, and the one I watched wasn't RJ, but it was cool. So, because we played the Supro on almost every tremolo video, so we did kind of like having something that was a little bit different. So yeah, kind of on the hunt for something.
Right.
And because the Revolta showroom was closed, but I saw that Carter Vintage was a dealer. I'm like, oh, we'll just slip into Carter and maybe play one, but they're doing kind of curbside only, so did not get to play one on this trip.
Is that a Duesenberg bridge?
Yes. Yep. Not the same, not maybe the exact same one as mine, but yes, they did say on the one thing they're using a Duesenberg.
Oh yeah, Duesenpol less trim too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, price point wise, because even that's $11.99. What's that baritone?
I think it was $1,000. It was $9.99. Okay.
So I mean, price point wise, and that's interesting that it has the P90 in the neck and the humbucker in the bridge.
Yep. That's very Duesenberg-like as well.
Right. So I mean, interesting shapes. I don't know. Like I said, we're on the hunt for something. What's the other brand that we were looking at that we were thinking was
the one you showed me, the Flying V? Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Flying V.
Was that the one, or?
I mean, that one's on the list now too. That was who was that?
It's in that text you sent me, but yeah, that's true. We're looking at Harmony as well, right? Like, I think
Right. Harmony has like the gold foil pickups.
You've actually had a preliminary contact with them. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, I've talked to like an email with them where maybe next year we can demo some of their stuff.
Right.
All right. Here's Brodie back. Hey,
Brodie. Coffee.
Sorry.
No, now you sound good.
Oh, okay. Well, did my comment about the baritone guitar come through?
No.
Oh,
go for it again, because you actually had one. You're the only person in these three windows that actually had one.
Yeah, they sound really good if you pick, a few notes on them or something as a recording tool, but to play it, I mean, it's a whole shift. I couldn't do it, and I sold it, but because it's tuned like B to B. So when you go to grab chords, I could never play one as a standard thing. It's just you sort of map it out when you record and go, okay, I'm going to put this in and just sort of tuck it in, that and a high string guitar kind of thing. But
yeah, I've been interested in that, like wondering how much mental gymnastics does it take to play one?
More than I could jump about with.
Here's the other one that I was kind of these little Junos with the gold foils. And then it's Pure Salem. Isn't that the name of the other one you were talking about?
I think so. There we go.
I'm spelling it wrong, but we'll get it in the. They have a Flying V now, but I don't think they show it on their page.
You sent me the video, though, right?
Right. It was.
Bow down upon our church of acid rock is what the caption said there.
Right. Here it is. It's the video. They have a video, but there's no. Is it really the pre-order $700? Is that it for that guitar?
Yeah.
It has an interesting headstock on it. I don't know. I thought it looked kind of cool too. Platzer said Grissom told him that he uses a baritone back in the mix on a lot of his songs.
Nice.
There's Bent Tom in the chat, and TL Pedals has joined us. Tim's pedals, man.
I got to play Tim's pedal this weekend.
That's right. He had the Brielle boost.
Should we talk about that?
We could talk about that.
It's still sitting right here.
Yes.
Here it is, the Brodie board. So the guy that doesn't play pedal boards comes to town. He's going to play. Pat says, grab a pedal or two. And so we put this together for him. This is what we put on the board because it was all like show stuff, right? Give him a tuner. We have Tim's Brielle boost on there,
which I used like half a dozen times. It was great.
The gain changer on there, which I don't think you did that, right? Did you use that?
No, because I just had the dirty channel on the amp, and I did messing around with it, and I loved it on sound check, but I didn't while we were playing because I just left the dirty channel on the amp.
So Brodie does the volume knob to clean up thing. Then we had the Hampstead signature tremolo for those of you who didn't see the little check-in the other day, and the EPH3 delay pedal from Love Pedal, all with the Joyo, the wonderful Joyo power supply on the back. That's a battery thing, so you don't have to have it plugged in. You click it on, and it lights up. And that thing lasts for. Did you charge it at all, Pat?
I did. After we played for, man, that thing was plugged in for like 6 hours on Saturday. I charged it overnight. Just to be sure.
Ben Tom said Albert King's Lucy. That does kind of look like Lucy. Let me see if I can find a better picture of that. We can keep going. So what else did you use? You used the Brielle boost. You said a good bit.
Mm-hmm. The tremolo, and I turned the EPH3 on a few times, but I didn't touch anything on the amp, and I didn't adjust anything on the pedal board. I plugged it in exactly the way it was.
And played my guitar. He played nothing that was his. And even the slide he brought to play with, he forgot, so we had to run and grab one.
I had one job.
One job. Bring a slide.
Whoops.
Slides here, Cadella.
Well, right. He's got a whole mess of them here too. But it was kind of cool and Jason, I don't know if I even said this to you, maybe Brodie did, but a couple of the slide things he was doing, he had the tremolo on. It was pretty cool.
But
it was very different. It was different.
But a lot of it is one, if you can set something up that as vanilla as it was, because I think, Jason, that was your amp, right? Your head.
Yeah.
It speaks to it affirms a couple things. One, we have kind of that same sonic pursuit, where we're running for the same thing. But when I can take what was there and make it sound like what I want it to sound like, it's just all the more that this is where it comes from. The other stuff just supplements it.
Right.
And just make it work. And if you can't, you probably can't play anyway. But it was great. It sounded awesome. That delay was like a lot, and I didn't want to mess with it, so I just got used to it. I'm playing a bunch of the worship stuff. It tucked right in. It just sort of made space, which I wouldn't have done otherwise. So it was a fun stretch. It's like having a personal trainer.
The Hampstead tremolo you said sounded really nice, though.
Oh yeah, that was as good or better than anything I've ever played. I love the switch, the feel of the switch when you turn it on and off.
Oh yeah.
Before it was tremodillo or a blackface reverb or a blackface Fender with the tremolo. Those were always my favorite. Or you see that custom amp under that one PV head behind Pat?
Mm-hmm.
The tuck and roll. That was one of my favorite tremolos too, but I think that pedal it's at least as good, if not better, than the other ones. I didn't have time to putz with it. I just turned it on and used it, and I was like, whoa.
So that's high praise coming from a guy who has this.
Okay, so in the chat, we have Pete Hickson joining us. Claudio. I'm trying to think that might be everybody that I haven't mentioned. Brian Landris said he saw I played the honker with the Strat. Did I see what he meant about Strats and the tube screen? Yeah, we had a conversation the other night, Brian and I, because we had sent Brian one of the TL pedals, one of the honker pedals that we had here. We sent to Brian because we knew that he would just dissect it and pick it apart and be a good champion for that pedal. And we had a conversation about it, and I've never used tube screamers. Never. I don't know. Brodie and I probably not. One thing we have once. I can count on Brodie to never have used a pedal too. Never used tube screamers. So yeah, Brian posted a couple videos. Go out to Brian Landris' channel. and check that out because he has a couple videos with the honker. But his videos were the reason I was like the other day, I was like, man, I got to plug the honker in and play with it a little bit. And so a day later after doing that, yeah, I do see what you mean about it. And I was thinking about that. Check out Brian's video on it because he has this, like, I don't know if it's this, like a light touch that he was using with it. Because when I was watching back what I recorded with it, that little bit I recorded, I was really digging in on it. And I think that light touch that Brian uses in his videos just gives it that really, like, kind of. I thought I had too much reverb on it. And I think it's because I was digging in so hard. And Brian seemed to have more reverb going. I don't know.
Yeah, Brodie and I watched that together last night. We went down to Uncle Bry Rabbit Trail and watched some stuff, and I got to see all those videos. That was cool. Yeah, it was really nice of, first of all, Tim to send us the pedals, and then we were able to share the love with Uncle Bry, and he's already, showing everybody what it can do. So it was pretty cool.
We probably should have did our video before we sent it to him.
Right. Yeah. They'll be like, "Oh, this old thing."
Yeah,
I've seen that.
Now we got to figure out how to make it sound good, which it will.
Because I know this isn't what we were going to do today, but the Canadian Goose finally landed on your front porch, right? And the mystery pedal has arrived from Tim that we were joking about. But
right.
So, but Tim, I meant to message you. I think Brodie's interested in a Brielle, and we were just trying to figure out the best way to buy one of those from you from Brie, but we can talk about that.
Oh yeah.
I want to buy stuff just because he's so nice.
It's weird, but he wants my picture on his pedal. Just tell Brielle to start drawing now. She knows how to do it.
On the bottom of the pedal, right before I put the Velcro over the top of
it. Bucket of fish.
Ben said that apparently Steven Seagal now owns all three of Albert King's V's. Wow. Crazy.
He's got quite the collection. I've never really heard him play, but he's got the collection.
I found a kind of a bad reverb picture of that. It looks like that. You can't really get the headstock has. I don't mind it as much because it has that almost like German carve or whatever, that like two-tiered carve on it up at the top. I don't know. Well, maybe a V I can sneak into the house since my wife won't let me get one.
I was going to say to scratch,
like over at Sal's.
Yeah. We did go over to our friend Sal's house last night, who we featured on the show. He has a theater in his house that came with the house, like a 7-seat theater. And a couple of weeks ago, he started his, I want to say, like 13 or 12 and 10-year-old son down the Rocky Path. So they watched 1, 2, and 3. So Brodie and I went over and took popcorn and candy and watched Rocky 4 last night. It was pretty cool. It's the only theater in town that's open.
Right. Tim said that the website has free shipping. So if you don't go to Reverb and you go to his website, you get
okay. Okay. That works.
Yeah.
So
Jason, I didn't even tell you this, but go ahead, Bill.
So when you buy the Brielle Boost, does the artwork get generated? Do you suggest something, or is it just surprise, like Cracker Jack box artwork that comes with it?
We didn't actually.
They were doing it. I told him to grab I think I asked him to grab a Sharpie and go to town. I'm not sure if did they always do that or not.
I don't know. And then subsequently, someone else ordered one and wanted some custom artwork, and so we may have started something. Whoops, sorry. So I was going to tell Jason. We keep talking about Zach Broyles from Mythos, and we've talked about having him on the show, and he's busier than a one-armed wallpaper hanger. But I did send him a message this afternoon on Instagram asking him if he had it. He's got the Lark tremolo that he's done. And I texted him and said, hey, I'm kind of in town. Do you have any of the Larks at your house? We could do like a social distancing curbside transaction. And he said, I only have 2, mine and one that's defective. And I'm like, well, you could just give me yours. But so I didn't end up getting a Lark on the trip. I thought I could just bring back a tremolo pedal that we didn't have, but didn't quite work out.
Nice. Nice attempt at stalking, probably too, right?
Mm-hmm. It's at his house. He probably has like 30 of them. Everybody's like, this guy, I'm not telling him. Brent Mason told me all about him. And that guy ain't coming near my house.
You can do what I do. I'll meet you in the giant parking lot when we're out 15 in front of the Rite Aid.
Right. Be there in 10 hours.
Yeah, I'm the guy wearing the mask. Yeah.
Right.
You know what was funny? It's my brother and I was up in PA this last week, and my brother and I went to the bank, which, bragging rights, we were the first customers in their lobby since they shut down. So my brother goes, "Do we get a toaster?" That's just his kind of sense of humor. But we went in, and I thought it was really strange that I'm putting a mask on walking into a bank office.
Right.
Something doesn't feel right about this.
I was out walking the dog one day, and a guy drove by in a white panel van with no windows and a face mask and sunglasses at like 5:30 in the evening. I'm like, yeah, like that wouldn't have flown like a month ago. Like you never would have made it through the neighborhood.
Right.
Ben Tom said Sus Mariosa. Yeah. Check that one out too.
Yeah. I wanted to. I'm not sure. I was thinking about getting a Lark, and I made an offer on one on Reverb that got countered, but I didn't accept it because I was going to take a little stab at seeing about getting one. But
well, they're not cheap either, are they?
No, they're not.
Mm-mm. All right.
They are not.
I've been having trouble with Reverb offers lately. I tried to get a Source Audio tremolo the other night, and the guy had it priced like outside of the estimated price range. He wouldn't come down. He wouldn't even come down to the estimated price range. I'm like, I'm not spending that, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at the comments here real quick.
Yeah, Tim's son often paints his pedals. That's awesome. Something is wrong when the schools say stay closed, but Disney World just opened. I didn't know Disney World opened. Oh yeah, because there's no problems at all in Florida.
That's right.
Should we unbox?
Bent Tom is just getting caught up on his. Bent Tom had a 9-seat theater prior to his divorce. Does that mean you have a 4.5-seat theater now? Shut up, Bing.
Well, did you see Tim said that?
Yeah,
she
go
takes
ahead, man.
requests, Brodie.
Okay.
Do what?
She takes requests.
Okay. I thought on that interview they said that she just sort of did her thing. The surprise would be the cool part. Like what's she gonna do? It's her canvas,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do your thing, man. Like this is pretty cool.
So Seagal owns Steve Cropper's original Telecaster and that Fender Harvard amp.
Seagal owns a lot of stuff.
So there was if anybody follows Zach Childs, who wrote for Vintage Guitar and Ask Zach, and he's got his own thing now. He had a clip on the history of like the Fender Harvard and how cool it was, and talked at length about Steve Cropper and his use of one. They're hard to find. So especially of the one used in Booker T and the MGs from a Steve Cropper. It's pretty cool.
Brian Lander said his entire drive section of his pedal board is populated by pedals built by guests of our show, which I think is awesome. I do. It's funny. I mean, like there's a lot of pedals on my pedal board that are built by guests that we've had on the show now too. It's great. That's cool. Oh.
Santa cane.
I mean, if nothing else, this show has started to make things pop up on the front porch more often.
Yeah. So real quick before you do that, so the one thing I was looking forward to at Carter, because I'm on their email when their new inventory comes in, they just got in a 59 Les Paul that they have priced at the low budget price of $275,000. But they mentioned that it's featured in the Burst Believers 4 book. And there it is. This one is currently available at Carter Vintage Guitar for a mere $275,000.
$694. Wow.
So I thought I was going to have pictures of this to show you, but not this time. So we'll start a GoFundMe page, and we'll just have that for the show. Is that what you had in mind for a player for the pedals, Jason? The 59 Les Paul?
Yeah. Why don't you pick that up on your way back?
Sure, I can go in with a mask. It's the only way I'm going to get it.
Hobo Brodie says he's pretty sure Harvard is a Princeton, but he doesn't know much.
They're close. They're kind of similar. That Zach Childs video is really good. Like that's worth going and looking up. It's like they're 20 minutes or so long, but it was really interesting.
Jason doesn't know this, but I invited Zach Childs onto the show, and I haven't heard back from him yet, shockingly enough.
I've seen him at the mall a couple times here.
Yeah, Brodie and I were at the grocery store, and we didn't run into Mark Agnesi this time. I was very disappointed. And I was at Costco in Brentwood, not a single celebrity sighting. Sad times indeed.
Sorry.
I did joke with Jason that I was going to do a social distancing selfies while I was down here. And it'll just be me, and then I can tell you that 6 feet away from me, I can insert whatever name that I want. I said, "Oh, here I am with Keith Urban. He's just right over there."
Social distancing.
Yeah, I have a couple more days. Maybe I can work that out.
Wow. Yeah, Ben said about apparently a guitar player doing a thing on Steven Seagal's house. His gear, I mean, I've never really looked into it, but I know he has a ton of gear.
Yeah, I did. There have been some write-ups and stuff on it, and I knew he had like 2 of Freddie King's guitars, but I wonder if, well, I guess if him and Bonamassa got into a fist fight over the stuff, I'm pretty sure I know who would win. What?
Hey, listen, I know who will win, but one of them runs like a girl, and I'll let you figure it out. Well, Brodie we used to get Vintage Guitar Magazine. I think there was a big write-up about Steven Seagal's collection in Vintage Guitar one time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, now for the drum roll. I've
in
vamped enough. We have the box.
I sold 3 pedals today.
Nice.
I sold our Visions modulation pedal from Joyo, a DOD delay pedal, and Money Laundry from Man Electro.
Nice. That's the iRobot downstairs. He knows, Alexa, clean the downstairs.
No, I don't have Alexa. But that's the first time it ever went back on the stand, charged itself, and it came back off of it. It's never done that until you don't want to be interrupted.
Well, that's so. We could all only hope to work that hard that we get charged up and ready to go again. Yep.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, remind me to make this small.
Make yourself, yeah.
Once I click on this, I'll forget to
I was
make.
going to say feature.
So. It is the wah lock. Oh, and this one's orange. Come on.
Oh, wow.
What's not to love there?
Yeah.
So, glow in the dark Morley. This is actually pretty interesting. On this side, you have the wah lock, which I think this knob is the sweep of your wah pedal. So if you want to get that cocked wah sound, you can put it where you want it, and then you click the wah lock on. Because you can't, since there's a spring in it, you can't do that, but you can do that with a wah lock. And then on this side, there's a loud switch, and I don't know if the loud knob is in conjunction with the switch or not. We'll have to find that out. I don't think it probably is. But the switch is the whoa mode. So,
Curious to hear that.
Wah, and then whoa. Pretty cool.
That is very cool. Well, when we talked about having the box, I'm very jealous because somehow I'm not sure where mine went, but Brodie has the box to his DS.
Wait, you forgot to tell me to make it
And
again.
sorry, so Brodie has the actual box from the ones we ordered directly from Caesar.
There's cool
And not only
paperwork in there
that,
too.
he's got like the instructions. Yeah, with like the whole line of the DS products at the time, which included the CD30 Club Classic 30-watt combo for a mere $25.99. That's probably about $85.99 at this point. 100-watt Classic Twin combo for $3,000. A 100-watt head for $3,000. A 100-watt combo for $3,500. A Vibramaster, which I think two preamp with spring reverb, switchable tremolo and vibrato. So that was his like standalone tremolo and vibrato system. That was $900. And then if you wanted the P20 preamp, you had to call him. It says call. And then PT20 combos, a couple grand, a couple of speaker cabinets. Okay, and he was only making two pedals, the Tremodillo and the Texas Squareface. And the Texas Tremodillo back in the day was $225, and the Squareface was $200. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Brian says he needs a wall. He needs to check out more.
And I haven't figured out what.
Morley ruined me with the switchless wall. I'm sorry. Like once you get used to stepping on it and having it on and not having to click a switch, you just can't go back.
Right.
Either that, Brian and Andrew, or check out the G Lab stuff, that the Warren Haynes signature G Lab wah. That's pretty cool too. So,
No.
Steven Seagal's. We should play a clip of Steve. We should have had a clip of Steven Seagal ready.
Right. Well, at one point we were going to do a whole clip of the day of celebrities who owned guitars. I think we did one. Who did I had somebody.
Conan
O'Brien, I think.
You had somebody else too, I think. Steven, I mean, I've seen clips of Steven playing where he's playing pretty good, and I've seen clips of him playing where he's playing bad. But I think the bad one, you take somebody who's A, famous, B, has some money, and has spent that money to buy the gear everybody wants. All he has to do is get on stage and play poorly one time, and it's going to go viral, right? So there was like, there's one out there where he's really tanking it, where that's the one that went viral. But I don't know a guitar player that hasn't had a moment on stage where they were probably really tanking it at some point. So,
right.
I mean, we've all had that moment where you start playing a solo and it takes you longer than it should have to realize you're not in the right key, or something happens that's bad.
Yeah. No love there, right? Everyone's looking for him to fall. Of course, if he plays bad, who's going to tell him?
So what did we miss here? I see TL Pedal said Hobo Rody asked about top Canadian amp makers. But I missed where he asked that.
There's Tim Lewis and Tim Lewis.
He's a up and coming top Canadian amp maker because he's still finishing up his prototype, I believe.
Right.
Oh, who's the big Canadian amp makers? I wouldn't know that. And you know why I don't know that? Because Canada won't let me in.
Right. You'd be up there bolstering their economy.
Isn't Hughes and Kettner Canadian?
They're German, aren't they?
Yeah, they're German.
You're right. What's the Alex Lifeson amp? It starts with an X. Exerst or something. Sweetwater had a thing on it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. That Trainer is the Fender of the North.
Okay.
Brian said he took his LPD 87 pedal and is using it as the entire preamp section of his blue guitar amp one. That's awesome. See, that's another one. Lawrence Petros. We had him on as a guest, but we have yet to have a Lawrence Petros pedal in house.
Right.
Is Rev Canadian?
I'm not sure either.
Okay. Brian said that Rev makes great amps. I'm not sure there.
Yeah. Lurkst is the name of it. LERXST, and I think they're Canadian.
I don't know. I'm mad at Canada. The first time in 47 years I haven't crossed the border to spend time at the cottage my grandfather built on the lake. I'm really kind of irritated.
They are the nicest people on the planet.
Oh yeah, they are.
I love Canada.
I need at least a week of Canada time every year to like. First of all, I think the lake has like the water in the lake has like restorative, life-giving properties that you can't live without. But also the pace of life. Even when you go into town, the pace of life is just so much. We call it. My wife and I lovingly refer to it as Canada time. You know, like let's stop at the roadside thing and get a thing of poutine. It's going to take a half hour. There's nobody there, but it's going to take at least a half hour for you to get in there, get your poutine, and eat it. But it's okay because it's Canada time.
And Tim Hortons.
And Tim Hortons coffee, yeah. Poutine.
Is it true that the water in that lake is the same water that was in the pool in Cocoon, where the old people were restored?
The lake is very geologically significant, actually. That area is very geologically significant. Don't ask me why. I just know it is.
Sorry. I saw it on the billboard.
Yeah, Ben said he used to go to Ottawa fishing. Yeah, we're kind of close to there. There's no 2 hours down a gravel dirt road though to the cabin. The cabin, you need a boat. Or a boat. Boat? You need a boat? Yes, you need a boat to get to the cabin. And it's beautiful. And I'm dying right now. I'm dying. As much as I love hanging out with you guys on a live stream, I'd rather be sitting on the lake.
Well, you have internet up there, so.
Right.
And like we've talked before, you could stop in at Ish Guitars on your way up and see some ridiculous PRSs.
I don't know. I'd like to get there. So Rev is Canadian, apparently.
Rev, REVV, Rev.
Yeah, REV. REVEV.
Yeah.
2 V, right?
Yeah. REVV.
Yeah.
They had at NAMM last year, Summer NAMM, they had that little like mini 20-watt amp.
Mm-hmm.
It's really great. It's like $1,200 or something, but it's pretty cool.
Tim said there's a ton of boutique amp builders in Canada. Still should try to get on Kevin O'Connor from London Power on the show.
He's mentioned him before.
Yeah.
Need to do some research. Hammond is Canadian? Like in Hammond, Oregon? No. Not that Hammond. They're not Canadian. Yeah. Oh my. So what else, Pat? Anything else going on? Today was like this week was like Walrus Week.
Right. Including tomorrow, right? Tomorrow at noon?
Tomorrow at noon at the Walrus. Our what did you call it? The Ken Burns approach to
Yeah, we were like, I don't know, it felt like we were 25 minutes into the video. Like, well, those are the features. And I'm like, well, come back for part 2 to see the hidden gems. What did you get it down to in editing?
Well, and then I don't know if you caught. I told you that
you said you left something out.
right. I had to like edit a part and like skipped a whole section. Like it was at like 30. It's about 30 minutes. It's maybe a minute or two over 30 minutes. It's long. I mean, I still feel like it moves kind of fast because there is a lot of different features that we get to, but it's longer than it needs to be probably, or longer than it should be.
So people should get coffee and their lunch and sit down involved in the premiere.
I have a feeling we'll start watching the premiere with a few people tomorrow. We'll end watching it by ourselves.
And I'll probably almost miss my 6:30 a.m. flight on Sunday. Be like, I gotta go, man. I got a flight.
Yeah, it's long, but a great pedal. I mean, some great features on there. That's where I looked down my keyboard and look up, and Pat's gone. It's like I'm disappearing.
Well, it's kind of funny. Like you asked what's going on, and it's funny because I've been doing some work while I'm here. I'm just part-time doing some stuff for OnSong, who we may have talked about or not talked about. And so I've been playing this beauty all week. It's a Sunburst Clapton Martin that pretty much plays itself. It's pretty darn magical and beautiful. But part of what's funny is like Brodie's got a bunch of picks kind of scattered around, and so because I'm trying to play to YouTube and listen with one thing, I'm using a light pick and all that stuff. Well, Brodie was kind enough, and we showed it on the show, to have gotten like custom V picks made for us. So he did not keep some for himself, so we set a couple aside to give them back to him. So, but I mean, it is like V pick heaven around here. And they're all very different. And even just playing different things, I was trying different picks, and Brodie and he was rehearsing for his church gig this week and was like showing me the different sound qualities of different picks on different parts. And so there may be just a few V picks out here. So I don't want to go down this path because I don't want to become a plectrum snob, but look out. It's pretty wild.
Is that what happened? Like VPix is right around the corner from you, apparently, right? They're not very far.
Yeah, he's about 20 minutes from here.
So when we get our act together, we'll maybe have Vinny come on, but they are very different. They're really cool. Different shapes, different sizes, the ghost rim, the thicknesses. I mean, this one's pretty wild right here. This one's, oh gosh, backwards, sideways. It's really interesting. And picks that I didn't think I would like because of the shape and the thickness. After you play with them for a couple minutes, you're like, all right, I get it. See what you did there, Vinny. So anyway, it was interesting. You asked what was going on. I turned around and I look, and there's just like scattered picks everywhere. And I thought, well, it's been an interesting little journey in trying out different picks. So
after playing with like Fender mediums for years and years and years and years, I like the heavier picks now. I've just in the last couple of years got to that.
Yeah, especially on electric.
Yeah, it's neat. Apparently, Ben is premiering his honker video at the same time tomorrow.
Okay.
So, well, and Tim said that he'll jump on after Ben's premiere, which he probably will have time to do that. We'll only be into the very beginning of it by that point.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Yeah. Brian's been using our Hetfield Black Fang pick.
Sounds like he has mommy issues and needs to go talk to somebody. If that's the pick you're using. Angry at somebody.
Right. Oh my gosh. This has been 51 minutes already. I forgot how fast it can go by when you have nothing to talk about. So what else do we need to get into? I mean, you're at Brodie's, so like, is there anything else in there that?
It's not stuff you haven't seen before, but this is the other little gem in the collection. This Loudon. I played that Martin most of the week when I was doing different stuff, and then when he was running through some songs for church, I sat down and strummed this thing, and even with dead strings, it's really, really awesome. So I have not touched an electric guitar since I've been here, although we need to because this wall of amps behind us, we were going to be checking out some of the Fenders that are back here, and Jason wanted me to play the Princeton that's back here now that I've had some experience with his new Tyler, just to kind of see what those two are like.
You haven't done that yet?
We're going to get into some amps. No, we're going to get into some amps maybe tonight. We had a plan tonight that kind of fell through, so we're once again stuck at home with copious amounts of red meat, red wine, and guitars. So I think we'll be okay.
Does he have an electric that you could play through those? As you can turn
No. Let's see.
For those of you that why Pat's getting ready to turn his camera around. For those of you that haven't been with us on the channel that long, if you go to our playlist for field trips, or no, just type in Brodie's. There's a playlist I think for Brodie's stuff where Brodie last year walked Pat through everything in this room. Maybe not everything, but most of the electrics, most of the acoustics. I know I watched your historic. What do they call it, Brodie? The historic collection or the
collector's choice?
The collector's choice guitars that are there, and then all the amps. And it's great fun to watch. I mean, it's quite we shouldn't call it a collection,
right?
It's quite
cluttered.
It's a lot of tools.
He falls in the category of us. We didn't start out collectors. We just have adverse reaction to selling things. So I can't, not smart enough to flip the camera.
I have sold a few things lately, though. I sold that baritone Telly and that Shenandoah D35.
But then you also got the Clapton Martin that I was playing, right?
Well,
so there's a couple to choose.
Funny how that works.
Right.
I don't know what it is about the pink
guitars
lately, too, because for some reason I'm thinking, I don't have a pink guitar. Like, I don't know why in the world I'd want one, but I just saw your pink Strats in there thinking,
yeah,
they look pretty cool.
They're awesome. Shell pink 60 Strats. I love those guitars. Love them. And they showed Jason what I have there on the shelf that I was using. Yeah, look at that.
What is that? Is that Zen Drive?
Yeah.
Once.
Zen Drive and a reverb pedal.
You can see that because I can't see.
Yeah. Into the Princeton.
Yeah. That and the Zen Drive into the Princeton. And then there's the Tremolux. And there's a Champ? There's a Champ in there?
Champ,
right?
Tweed Champ.
And then that's And then this guy is
Blackface Deluxe Reverb.
Yeah. So there's my very bad camera work because I really thought there was an option to flip it, but I couldn't figure it out.
So in that Blackface,
this concludes the not.
What's that?
On your Blackface Deluxe, that's a reissue?
Yeah, the Princeton Reverb and the Deluxe Reverb, they're both the 65 reissues that
Now,
they
does
made.
that have a tube rectifier in them?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I mean, the only difference between their circuit boards in those versus the hand wired ones, but the tubes and the valve, they're all, the tube circuit and everything's the same as the original ones. So, but as far as the valve, I don't know.
Yeah.
They sound great. I mean, that one out of the box had one of the power tubes. Looked, it was all frosted white. I went to turn it on and nothing. But they sound great. I mean, they're not. It's sort of like having an old car. They're great when they work, but when they don't, you're like, why do I have this old car? You know, and old amps are a little persnickety sometimes. But
I have trouble with that. There's Deluxe Reverb reissues. I always have trouble with them when I play them. If I can turn them up to 10, I don't have any trouble with it. But when I try to get it like lower volume, like if I turn it up to 10, put the overdrive pedal in front of it and kind of do the poor man's attenuator thing with the overdrive pedal and your volume knob, I can normally get what I really like out of them. I find them really brittle.
I use that when the one Pat's pulling down right now. I use that with the Deluxe Reverb and the Princeton Reverb. When you turn them all the way up, you know, the reverb's dynamic, the tremolo, the EQ, it's all different. But it's really, really good. But I mean, I usually on the black faces, I run them. The only time that I use dry, or, you know, a dirt pedal is usually when I'm using one of those amps, just because I don't take. Sometimes I take that attenuator, but usually that Zen drive I'll plug in, or the Sparkle drive.
All right, and then you can run the amp really hot and kind of pull it back with the drive pedal a little bit.
No, I actually run it clean and turn the dirt pedal on, which is not what I usually do, but I've been making myself do it just to make it work, you know, and you find different things when you don't stay on the same approach all the time. So I'll force myself to do that kind of stuff.
Try running it hot, so pull the volume up, but then pulling your level on the overdrive pedal down a little bit. And then you can still roll your volume back to clean up.
Yeah.
So you still run the tubes kind of hot. Like, I mean, that's when, with that Deluxe Reverb, what I always do is basically turn everything to 10, volume, treble, bass, all to 10, and then put the Barber Electronics direct drive in front of it, pull the volume back, and then get the tone where I want it to be through the tone on the pedal. And then just play with that on all the time and just roll the volume knob back and forth.
Yeah.
Roll the volume knob all the way up, you have plenty of gain. But even that, I guess, sometimes is a little hard to.
That still gets a little loud sometimes.
Right,
I would
still loud. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but you know, I heard another guy say take those Bosch GE7, the EQ pedals, and you know, run those through the loop and use it as an attenuator. I've never tried that, but I thought that'd work. You know, I just wonder how much tone you give up when you start attenuating stuff. It's a matter of what are you giving up to gain quietness. You give up something else. It seems like.
Brian said you should get an amp Pete amp switcher like Henning Pauly has. And Brodie probably knows who Henning is. Do you know who Henning is? He's a YouTuber, does a lot of stuff, and so he has a whole bunch of amps like that, and then he has like a switcher, so they're all on, and he can just switch between the different amps.
Oh, like that Voodoo Lab. And they've got a volume knob on each one.
I don't know if it is or not. I've never looked at what he has, but it's like in a studio, all going into like a studio interface and stuff. PG, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I just held up the Boss GE7 when he talked about attenuating with a
Mm.
EQ.
Right.
I wanted to show Brodie's vast collection of pedals, so I got to 3 of 9.
Our problem is if we sold all the pedals that we have down here, we could probably buy the guitars that Brodie has in there.
It's true. It's a reasonable trade-off.
I wonder how many pedals you guys have let go that 30 years from now will be like, we should have kept that. That's worth $2,500. It's a modern day Klon, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard to tell, but
We're trying to avoid that.
Yeah, you can't. It's tricky.
well, and it's funny because that if you look at the stuff that's super popular, that's like that, it's not. I think it's infrequent that it's something like the Klon where there was only a few of them made. Like if you look at some of the stuff that's really sought out, like the old TS 808s, like was it whichever one that Stevie used, they were like a mass-produced thing during the time.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times it's the things that were mass-produced that all the musicians were using.
Yeah, like Pat, it was an 808, right? Not the TS9. An 808 like
Yeah,
yours.
it was the 808.
Yeah, I think so.
And what was the one? Zach Childs did a thing on it too. It was made, I think, by Ibanez, and it was a mistake, but they ended up becoming really popular too. It was just like you said, $60 pedal at the time, and now they're $500.
Yeah. Well, I think the Arion Chorus. Is it the Arion Chorus pedals?
The
Like,
plastic?
Yeah, I
ones?
think
Yeah, they're real cheap. They were real cheap pedals, but like all the Nashville guys like the Chorus. That's where a lot of them, according to Josh Scott, when I talked to him on the phone before somebody, that pedal, a lot of the Nashville guys and people use for their Leslie sounds. That one like cheap Arion, I think it was Arion. Chorus pedal.
Those were my two first pedals. I had a phase shifter that's still up there on that shelf, but my dad bought me those Arion where the top was, the delay was orange and the chorus was blue, and you squeeze the side of it, and that's where you put the battery. But everything else was plastic on it. Those were my first two pedals. And they were like $25. Well, 30 years ago, $25 was a whole lot more than $25 now.
Here's what Brian was talking about. I think. Maybe not. He put a link in the chat. Switchers. That looks a little more in depth than the Voodoo Lab one, don't you think?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that looks fancy.
Then you could flip all those amps on. All right.
What's he have?
I don't know. I know he was up looking for something. I was just stalling to.
I figured I wanted to sign off when we were ready and not when my phone decided, so I just had to go grab that real quick, which may be on for 30 seconds. I don't know, but
is that an external?
I heard these are.
Is that
I heard
yours?
they're good for a couple hours. You want to find out?
Is that yours?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. He's like Pat's got his like power supply on this thing. I said, when they built this house, they put these little things in the wall called receptacles. You can just plug right into them.
Well, I brought it because if we were out and about, I'm never sure what connectivity people have in cars.
Yeah.
And all of that, but
yeah, I carry two of them all the time. So
I'm just laughing because he's like He's like a teenage girl with his power supply. It's like
sending out an SOS.
So we discovered that we need to end this, but we'll end up with this. We discovered the other day, Apple must do screen time notification, like your update of your screen time hours at the same time for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because like without a doubt, it's almost without fail. It's like every Sunday morning we get up and we play our, worship set, whatever you call it. And then when we kind of like sit down and announcements are going on, I always get a pop-up telling me what my screen time is for the week. And I wonder if you do that, like, so it happens when people are at church for almost like some kind of like guilt, like, oh, you can't be awake for a half-hour sermon, but you spent 5 hours a day on your cell phone all week.
I think the pastor controls it, and it comes up right before the offering, so you can make up for it.
Oh my gosh. Ibanez Mastortion.
That's it. That's the one. Who did I say? Not Ibanez. I said no. I did say Ibanez. Right?
Ibanez. Yeah, you get bonus points.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. Story on that.
When we get Zach Childs on, we'll have him tell
it. My dad used a Mickey Mantle baseball card in his bike spokes. From Ben.
What, yesterday or like?
Hey, it was rumored. I've shown you my grandfather's Les Paul Jr. And it's rumored that there was a Martin in the family until my mom and her sisters used it as a sled. But I have never seen photographic evidence of that, but I've heard that story many times.
I heard they've accounted for 90 of the D45s of the 91 that were ever made. Do you think that other one is?
Could be. Could be.
Could have been a sled.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pearly one if it was.
Yeah. Faster than that one on Christmas Vacation, let me tell you. Yeah.
And non-nutritive cereal varnish.
Oh, wow. Well, unless you have something else that I'm forgetting.
Nope.
I feel like there's other stuff. There's been so much going on lately, but.
Yeah. But no, I was telling Pat in our, gajillion hour ride down here that because Sunday was like the first time that I ever heard like you play. And, so on screen, it's always fun and it was cool, but there were a couple times, not when we were playing because I couldn't hear past all the other stuff beside me, but when you were warming up and stuff, I told him, I said, it's funny. If I would have looked at the gear that was there and then just listened to it, I would have had no idea what you were using to make that sound. But I was like, that sounds really good. It's sort of that same, wheelhouse of, the Warren Haynes and not the stuff with the Leslie on and everything, but that meat and taters kind of tone. I would have had no idea it was a PRS. Even after you switch the amp over to the PV, I would have had no idea, but I was like, that sounds really bad. I'd have sworn it was you could have told me it was a Les Paul or anything with a humbucker in it and name any amp and I'd have believed you. It was like just that real, just timeless, like, wow, that's it right there. Put whatever you want on top of it to make it, to decorate it here and there. Put a little sizzle on it sometimes, but I really enjoyed that. So
that's awesome. We didn't tell anybody. That was our interesting morning. Pat was playing my son's. Did we tell people this? You were playing my son's acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
Brodie was playing your Telecaster through the Brodie board.
Pedal board.
into my PV Classic 30 head, which I don't know that we've used a couple times for the show, into your 410.
Yeah.
I started out playing my guitar, my pedal board into my Fender Super amp, which immediately, before we ever played a note, kind of blew up. So then I ended up playing Pat's PV Classic 30 112 combo with a 410 extension cabinet on it. So it was a weird morning. It was a strange morning.
Yeah, everybody was playing stuff that wasn't normal stuff for them. But
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to use in 2 days since you're still in Nashville and I'm kind of on my own. Like what I want to use outside.
Well, I like your idea of playing on one side and daisy chaining one of the cabinets and sending it to the other side. So it'll fill up both sides.
I thought about playing with both 210 cabinets and putting one on either side of the drum set, but
put a 410 and a 15 on each side of the drum. Run two heads and just split it. Run the exact same thing on one on one side and one on the other.
I thought about a lot. Like I thought about what if I use my Fender Hot Rod and the Classic 30 head on a 112 cabinet, so I have like two 12s and two amps running, the Fender and the PV. That'd be cool. But I think when it comes down to it, the 410 and the head are sitting out there in the hallway being ready to pull out, and I don't have to move anything, so it's probably going to be the 410 and the head.
Mm-hmm. Right. Funny how convenient sounds great, huh?
Yes. Brian said that he was using a wet dry rig. That's how he had the reverb. Yeah, that probably is it, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
TL Pedal says, love the 410. Yeah, I love 410s too.
Even if it's just 110. I mean, now there would be like that little Super Beetle, that box behind you, Pat. That's got a little 10-inch speaker in it.
Don't some of the Princetons have 10-inch speakers in them too?
All of them, they come with 10.
I think there's a Princeton you can get with a 12.
Yeah, that's a pretty common modification that guys do. You buy like a new baffle and everything that goes right into it. A lot of guys do that prefer the 12. There are two different camps on that.
I think Sweetwater might have had a special run of those with 12s in it.
Oh, from Fender.
Yeah.
Oh, that may be. I mean, it's a really popular change that guys. In fact, the one guy I play with at church has a Silver Face reissue, and he did the whole swap out. Some guys will just drill a 12 onto the original 10-inch baffle, but he took the whole thing out and put it in like a 1-to-1 replacement thing. It sounds good. It just, there's something about a bark of a 10-inch speaker to me that I like it.
No, I'm kind of the search. I wondered if the search for the 210 Vibrolux would be over once I got the Tyler, but I don't think so.
Is that a 10 or a 12?
The Tyler?
Tyler, yeah.
It's a 12. It's 22 watts. It's 22 watts, 12-inch speaker.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like a deluxe.
But the size of the cabinet is more like a Princeton. Yeah,
I think the deluxes are 22 watts with a 12, and the Princetons are 15 with a 10. So you've got the under the hood of a deluxe reverb in the chassis of a Princeton, I think.
With like the Princeton. I don't know how much different the Princeton circuit would be, but it's more like a Princeton black face circuit in there. But then it has a fat switch on it and has a mid knob on it too. So
yeah, with more wattage and a 12-inch speaker.
Yeah.
There you go. I want one of those PV Delta Blues 210s with the tremolo on it and the reverb.
Me too.
Like
I've
one
seen
of those
into a 15-inch cabinet. Jumped on it.
What's that?
I saw that on one of those on Craigslist once or twice and almost jumped on it.
Yep. One of those and a 15 would be a pretty easy setup, like a 15-inch cabinet.
All right, so here, Brian has a question for Brodie.
What would I put it in? Because I can't bring myself to take what came in it out of it to put something else in. So maybe what I'd have to do is go buy an empty cabinet, and then it would be okay for me to put it in. But I can't take the guts out of it.
Pat, just poke a hole through one of his speakers. Why are you help out?
I'm just laughing because Brodie is a blend of the two of us. Like, right? You two are totally just bonding over 10-inch speakers and the PV Delta thing, and I'm like, give me a closed back 12 any day. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, just pop a different speaker, and then he became me and go, no, we don't modify it. Like nothing is modified. That's why he's in the center square. He's the balance here. He's the angel on both shoulders.
Oh my!
Well, that PV Classic 30 back there doesn't have the stock speaker in it.
The one at his house, yeah, right.
It has a
what?
The combo?
The black.
Oh yeah, your combo, yeah.
That does
What's
not.
in it?
I was afraid you were going to ask that.
Yeah.
It really was. Hold on.
Okay, if something like that. Here's an idea. To use Uncle Bry's Raging Cajun, if there's already a Classic 30 that's been upgraded or modified or whatever, let's make a baffle to put a 10-inch speaker in a Classic 30 combo.
It says
now you got something.
The Patriot Red Coat.
Wonder who makes those.
He already got up once.
I don't know.
But that could be a lot of fun. A 10-inch and a Classic 30 combo.
So does one 10-inch cut it? Like, I mean, I played the Super for years that has 4 10s in it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I really like.
Well, I if you've got to be super quiet and you want something compact, I mean, you're gonna just mic it anyway. So that will be the most consolidated version of getting that package that you could get.
I think it's an Eminent speaker.
What did Brian take the 10-inch out of?
I don't know.
A music store.
Wore a mask and ran real fast. He was a Raging Cajun, huh?
Here's the speaker. Build me an amp around it.
That's right. All right, that's right. So, Uncle Bry, send it to Tim. He'll build it and send it to Brodie, and Brielle can draw whatever she wants on it.
He had it in a Fender Super Champ X2.
Oh, is that the small combo?
Yeah, they're pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
They have this like built-in effects, but if you just use the clean channel on those are pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they're light. I thought about getting one at one point. All right. Well, we just let another 20 minutes after when we said we were going to stop.
I'm glad I got my phone charger. See, I knew better.
What was your average screen time for last week?
A lot. I had to put a lot in the offering plate. Let's put it that way. Lord, I apologize. All of it was on the Bible app.
Yeah. Pat shows up and it says your weekly cell phone usage was 170 hours.
I had to put a password on my phone.
There's a riddle in that. Somebody do the math on it. It's 2 hours more than there is in a week.
Right. If anybody wants a Raging Cajun, let me know. He is talking about a speaker, right?
Yeah.
Is a raging Cajun male or female, Ryan? Because it matters. It's really important to me before I have you send her over.
If it's a male, I hope it's Emeril Lagasse. That's all I can say.
All right, I think we wrap it up. Are we wrapping it up? We'll let you guys give. Make sure Pat plays through that Princeton because I want to hear what he.
It's plugged in right now.
Turn on that. Pick up that Strat. Turn up the volume. You're ready to go.
I want to hear what he thinks with it in comparison to the Tyler. And then next time you're around, we'll have to have you play through the Tyler.
I can already tell you which one I think is going to win.
You never know. I'd like to see what your opinion is. So, like, if you come back to town and you come back over on a Sunday and we're not outside in 100-degree heat using equipment that is driving us all crazy, at least it was driving me crazy a little bit. I'll bring it over and you can use it inside. That'd be nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Inside air conditioning.
Yeah. Now I listened to a couple of demos you did on it. It sounded really good.
It has on the recording. It's been sounding great.
Yeah.
And Pat's playing like those big chords for the tremolo pedals and stuff. Sounds real nice.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely kind of gives you the idea, and most people probably know this, of why there's a difference in things that you used to record and a difference in what you used to play live. Because in the room, we've warmed up to it. We like it. But, man, when that mic in front of it, it sounds really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right.
All right.
You going to wrap her up?
Yeah, so tomorrow the premiere at noon or 11 Central here in Smashville. But thanks to Brodie for jumping on and having to leave his own guitar haven to go downstairs. Kicked him out of his own room. Felt really wrong about that, but I got over it quickly. So, all right. Well, I guess so. Am I wrapping it up? So everyone here, thanks for joining in and spending the non-Oprah hour with us. It was at a weird time and a weird day, and so we appreciate you joining in. So with that, I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard over there and the Brode down there. Reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.
It's what I have to put up with. This is like there we go. The Tim 10. We'll see you guys all sometime soon. Tomorrow, 12.
The little flashy thing. It's like Men in Black. Just look in this thing. You'll forget this horribly long show about nothing. Just look right into that.
Oh, wait, I had to solo you.
No. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Oh, I turned it off. Oh. Uh-oh. You can see I'm as adept at using...
Very anticlimactic there, man.
Yeah, I know.